One of the most talked about megacorporations within Cyberpunk 2077 is Arasaka. Arasaka is a worldwide megacorporation dealing in corporate security, banking, and manufacturing. It is one of the most influential megacorporations in the world. It is a massive part within the Cyberpunk lore and also plays a massive part within the Cyberpunk 2077 game. You have the option right at the beginning when starting Cyberpunk to go into a life path, which is Corp. And this Corp life path is you playing as V under Arasaka. But even if you do play one of the other life paths, you will still come across Arasaka as they're trying to get the exact same technology that you're trying to get. And if you are a player that's just going to avoid the main missions, which I don't know why you would, you're still going to come across Arasaka because of the amount of weapons and security systems that are in the world that are built by Arasaka. So no matter what you do within Cyberpunk 2077, you're sure to be coming across Arasaka. So in this video, we are going to be going through absolutely everything on how Arasaka got to the position that they're in, starting all the way from the beginning and going all the way to the present day. If you enjoy this type of video and you want to talk more about Cyberpunk 2077 or even just see me playing it when it is released, then there is a link in the description down below which will take you over to Twitch. I currently stream every Monday, Wednesday and Friday, but that will be sure to be going to daily or even 5 days a week streaming live with Cyberpunk. So if that is of any interest to you, a link to that is in the description down below. Head over to there, drop a follow, and you'll be notified the next time I go live. Getting back into the video, we are going to go all the way back to 1950. This is when Arasaka started out, and it was supposed to be a simple Japanese manufacturing company. It was founded by Sasai Arasaka, who is a talented businessman who was able to predict the way the world was going. And because of this talent, Sesai Arasaka knew World War II was on the horizon and decided to set up his manufacturing company to be a major military manufacturing company, with Japan bringing in huge amounts of revenue throughout the war. Sesai Arasaka wasn't an emotional man. He looked at things logically, and despite his love for the country that he lives in, he believed Japan would lose the war, so started to move all the money for Arasaka to overseas accounts, so that when the Japanese economy turned to ruins, Arasaka was still in a position of power. And then during the years after the war, Arasaka would slowly move the money back into the company, making sure that Arasaka was an important part of Japan. As the years went on after the war, Arasaka continued to thrive, all the way up until Sesai Arasaka died in 1960. Sesai Arasaka only had one child, Saburu Arasaka, and after the death of his father, Saburu took the CEO position. Saburu was very much like his father. He was an Imperial Japanese Navy Air Service pilot during World War II and believed that Japan should be a leader of the world. After losing World War II, this really hit back negatively on Saburu, who even contemplated suicide. Saburu was much like his father and did look ahead and decided not to commit suicide. And after his father died, he started playing the long game to make Japan a superpower to control the world. So in 1960, when Saburu took over, he hit the ground running and first expanded the Bank of Arasaka. This was the backbone of the company and was a very smart investment from Saburu. This would bring in another revenue stream for the company, in which Saburu then used that revenue to buy into other investments. Saburu had the freedom to invest into other ventures, such as the Arasaka Security Division, and this would provide the highest standard of electronical security by the 1990s. Arasaka Security was the most powerful and respected security in the world, and saw the value with 3 different pillars of the company, being banking, security, and manufacturing. But this brings us all the way up to the collapse. This is the collapse of the stock market in 1994, which resulted in the collapse of America in 1996. Saburu saw the economic crash coming and made preparations to profit from the destruction of modern society. This meant Saburu got more involved in politics, corrupting the Japanese government, and after the collapse, Arasaka came out of the collapse as one of the largest corporations within the world. And with the lack of governments in place to enforce rules and restrictions on companies, Saburu looked at Arasaka's security division and put together the first corporation army. With the security division already providing electronic security as well as manpower, it just made sense for Saburu to bring them together. Saburu was now in a position to use Arasaka Bank to buy out businesses, whilst also using the Arasaka army to take out the competition. This became insanely profitable for the company. By 2020, Saburu passed the CEO to his eldest son, Kei Arasaka, but Kei was more of just a figurehead because Saburu was still the person making the decisions. At this stage, Saburu was 102 years old, but his mind was still as sharp as ever. Saburu was still trying to be the world leader, and the only thing stopping him was corporations who joined together to oppose him. One of these corporations was Militech. Militech International Armaments is a megacorporation specializing in weapon manufacturing and private military contracting. Militech is one of the world's largest manufacturers of weapons and military vehicles, with facilities on every continent. This brings us to the Fourth Corporate War, which started in 2021 and involved two aquacorps called Sino and OTEC, who later hired Arasaka and Militech to fight their battles. OTEC went for Militech and Sino went for Arasaka. As previously mentioned, both corporations had a rivalry for years, and the Fourth Corporate War was a way for them to fight it out. And with both aquacorps hiring both of these megacorporations, it wasn't long for Arasaka and Militech's rivalry to take over the war. In fact, by 2022, OTEC and Sino's feud was put to rest, but Militech and Arasaka was still fighting. This later turned into a global war as many other countries got involved, including United States and also Japan. Arasaka was slowly losing ground in United States, and the last stand was in Night City. Militech sent several strike teams of mercenaries to infiltrate Arasaka Tower in Night City. A thermal nuclear device was detonated in Arasaka Tower, which led to the destruction of the tower, nearby buildings, the whole city center, and also killed 500,000 people within Night City. Despite Militech sending in mercenaries to detonate the thermal nuclear device, Arasaka was blamed. The United States President Elizabeth Crest used the event to expel Arasaka from the United States. Technically, this was the end of the Fourth Corporate War. Arasaka had lost, but there were a few conflicts between Militech and Arasaka going on for the next couple of years, up until Saburu's eldest son, Kai Arasaka, died by suicide in 2025, which officially brought the Fourth Corporate War to an end. What was a company that profited out of war in World War II had severely hurt Arasaka in the Fourth Corporate War. All assets overseas were seized, and the company was pretty much kicked out of everywhere. The Japanese government still needed Arasaka, as it had huge benefits on the economy. The Japanese government nationalized Arasaka, and Arasaka became a Japan-only company for the next decade. Arasaka had to rebuild again, starting off in Japan and then starting to move to different countries. Moving back to America was tricky, with Arasaka being announced as terrorist during the Fourth Corporate War in 2023. But the new United States made it easy for Arasaka to come back, because in 2069 the Unification War begun. The Unification War was a war between the new United States and an alliance of seceded states known as the Free States. At the end of 2069, the newly elected new United States of America President Rosalind Myers presented a unification program to extend federal rule over the rogue free states under the pretense of strengthening the nation. Most of the independent states opposed unification, and conflict became inevitable. Night City, being in the free state of Northern California, didn't want to be part of the new USA because of the lack of support from the government after the Fourth Corporate War. The city was in pieces, and the government announced Arasaka as a terrorist organization and left Night City alone to rebuild with no support. With this, Night City avoided involvement within the war up until the federal invasion on Coronado Bay, which gave Night City no choice but to act. City Councilman Lucius Ryan had used his decade worth of contacts on the city council and begged for the long-shunned Arasaka to protect them. Within days, Arasaka's supercarrier showed up at Coronado Bay. Within hours, the new USA Army retreated. Following Arasaka's intervention, the new USA and the Free States signed a treaty known as the Treaty of Unification, ending the Unification War. The treaty ensured the Free States would remain autonomous, but would have to participate in the new federal government, and hostilities among themselves would have to cease. President Myers agreed to the treaty because she feared Arasaka's increasing involvement could escalate the conflict, which new United States could not afford. The peace treaty was unsatisfactory to all parties, but was considered preferable to continuing a war and risking another global crisis. And this brings us to the present day of 2077, where Arasaka is now back in control of Night City. Arasaka plays a massive part within Cyberpunk 2077. You get to pick a life path where V is working for Arasaka, and even if you don't pick that life path, you will still come across them with the amount of weapons, security system, and also the storyline, because they're also looking for the chip of immortality. You might have noticed whilst I was talking through all of that lore that I never mentioned the death of Saburu, or him officially stepping away from the company. Because in 2077, Saburu is still head of the table at the age of 158 years old and is still alive. Back in 2020, Saburu was confined to a wheelchair. Doctors on multiple occasions had informed him that his body could not stand any more cybernetics or any organic replacements. But he is still alive and still CEO of Arasaka. He may not be able to move around like he once was able to, but his mind is still as sharp and he is still making big plays as one of the richest men within the whole world in the Cyberpunk universe. This story will carry on within Cyberpunk 2077. And what I'm expecting is another major event for Arasaka within the game. But with this, we just need to wait and see. But anyway guys, that is the whole lore within Cyberpunk 2077 to do with Arasaka. If you do want to talk any more in depth about anything that was said in this video, then there is a link in the description down below which will take you over to the Twitch stream. Currently stream every Monday, Wednesday and Friday, and I'm always up for talking about Cyberpunk. So if that is of any interest to you, a link to that can be found in the description down below. Just head over to drop a follow and you'll be notified the next time I go live. But anyway guys, thank you very much for watching. I hope you guys did enjoy. If you did enjoy, don't forget to leave a like and subscribe. But for now, I'm going to see you.